Hey everybody, what's going on? It's me, Tony Jacobson, creator of Disable My Disability, and welcome to the DMD Fit for Life podcast. I appreciate you taking the time to watch and listen to the podcast. In this episode, I've got some great stuff for you. First off, of course, I'm going to do a thought for the day. Next, I've got a great lower body exercise that you can do at home. I've got a special announcement for an event that I'm going to be presenting at. And then we're going to get into my special interview with Ives-Rublee. She's my special guest in this podcast, so let's get into it. Over the past couple months, I've been making a new video series, and I'm sure some of you have been watching it. It's called Food for Thought. These are tiny 1 to 2 minute inspirational, informational, and motivational video segments just on everyday random thoughts that I come up with, and I've been putting those out every few days. So what I'm going to do for this episode is actually show you one of those food for thought videos, and then I'm going to give you the link where you can go and check out more food for thought videos and get signed up on my email list, because I deliver those through my email list and they go right into your inbox. So let's check it out. Food for thought. Do not invite me to your party. No, I'm not talking about your house party, and I'm not talking about your birthday party. What I'm talking about is your pity party. Do not invite me to your pity party. And don't invite others to your pity party. In fact, don't invite yourself to your pity party. Pity parties are no good. They don't get us anywhere. They don't do anything for us. They don't motivate us to do anything except sit in our misery. So why would you want to invite other people to that? Why would you want to invite yourself to that? Now, I understand getting down once in a while. I understand that you might get depressed about something. You may feel a little sad about something. And that's totally fine. We have to honor the way that we feel. But we don't need to sit in it. We don't need to sit in a pity party. That only keeps us down. So if you are going to have one, have it with yourself and make it quick and then get out of it. And don't invite anybody. Do not send me that Facebook invite. So here's the link. Go watch more, sign up on my email list so you can get these food for thought videos delivered right into your inbox. The at-home exercise that I would like to share with you today is for the lower body, but this can be done by anybody, even if you have limited mobility or if you have limited functionality with your legs. This is an alternate to actually doing a squat or a body squat or doing a leg press on a leg press machine. This is the supine resistance band leg press, or laying resistance band leg press. Now in this video, you're going to see that I use a resistance band, but you can also use a towel and create resistance with your hands and arms, or even if you have nothing to create resistance at this moment, at this point, if that's too much, just go ahead and do the movement that you're going to see without any resistance, because hey, any movement is good movement. So let's get into it. This is the supine resistance band leg press. So for this exercise, you're going to lay down on your back. You're going to make sure that you're on an even surface. You're going to put the resistance band right underneath your foot. Put it near the arch of your foot so that it's not going to slip. You're going to keep everything tight through your ankle, through your knees, and through your hip. And you're going to give yourself resistance and go ahead and press your foot all the way forward. Don't lock your knee. Just make sure that your foot's going forward and coming back. And then make sure you bring your knee as far to your chest as you can. That is comfortable. And then go ahead and press out. So this is a leg press. It's an alternate to doing a body squat. It's working everything in your legs. So your hamstrings, your quadriceps, your hips, everything in your hips, your glutes, that's your butt muscles. So it's working everything. So get the resistance band or towel. You can use a towel instead of resistance band. Put it around the arch of your foot there. Make sure it's steady and go ahead and press out. And then bring your leg back. Bring your knee as far to your chest as you can, and then press out again. Do 3 sets. 10 reps on each leg, and I'm telling you, you're going to feel it. This is a great alternate to doing a squat. I'm so excited to tell you guys about an event that I'm going to be a part of. It's called the Live Your Best Life Now Summit, and it's going to be coming up October 3rd through the 7th of 2016. It's an online summit, which means you can access it from anywhere in the world, and guess what? It doesn't cost a cent. All it costs is your email. You just register with your email and you get access. It's an online summit. It's 5 days long. There are 4 dynamic, amazing speakers that are going to be partaking in this. It's hosted by my wife, T. Marie. She is a speaker and an author and a minister. She's got a lot going on. I want you to visit her website. It's going to be in the show notes. And right now, though, I want you to click on this link, or actually visit this link. It's tmarie.com/summit. This takes you to the registration page where you can find out all about the speakers that are going to be at the summit and everybody that's going to be presenting. You've got T. Marie. She's going to be talking about love, and you've got Pastor Ulysses Vargas. He's going to be talking about spirituality. You got Tasha Douglas talking about being authentic, and you've got me talking about living the healthy life that you deserve. And it's all about living your best life right now. So we're giving you powerful tips and tricks on how to do that, on how to live your best life right now in the moment. So I want you to go over and register for this event. Again, it starts October 3rd. It's going to run through the 7th, a new presentation every single day. Over 7 hours of content is going to be provided. It's just going to be an amazing experience. So go to tmarie.com/summit, sign up. All you need is your email. It's totally free, and you're going to gain access to this wonderful, wonderful event. Now we get to my favorite part of the podcast, and that's the interview portion of the podcast. In this episode, I have an amazing guest. It's Mia Ives-Rublee. I'm going to get right into the interview. We're going to learn all about her. We're going to have a great conversation. I'm so happy that she's joining us today. So let's get right into it. As I was editing, I realized that my interview with Mia is really long, so I'm cutting it into 2 parts. This is going to be part 1, so here we go. All right, hey everybody, what's going on? It's me, Tony, DMD Fit for Life podcast. My special guest today, Mia Ives-Rublee. Mia, what's up? Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be talking with you today. It's just so great to see someone, a fellow OIer doing what you're doing. It really got me excited when I saw you on Instagram, and I immediately reached out to you. I was like, I got to talk to her. I got to meet her, and I want to get her on this podcast because I'm sure your story, what you're doing, is definitely something that people need to hear. The people that I know my audience is. Sure. So, let's start off first with just kind of an introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I just turned 32, and I live in North Carolina, was raised here, and I have been doing athletics since I was in middle school, so it's been quite a while. I enjoy doing fitness, doing sports, very competitive type of person, and then I do other things. I'm also a research assistant at UNC Chapel Hill for the School of Medicine, and then I also am a amateur photographer. So I try and dabble in everything.
That's awesome. That's great. Tell us a little bit about your OI history. I like to call it the OI breakdown with everybody that I get on here that's got OI. So just tell us type, how many breaks you've had, any surgeries you've had, any hardware that you might have in your body. Just kind of give us that.
Sure. So I have OI type 3. They kind of were like type 3, type 4. They weren't exactly 100% sure. I was kind of on that borderline area. Let's see here. I have no idea how many breaks I've had. Like, seriously, no idea. I think my parents gave up counting when I was younger. I was a rambunctious kid, so I didn't exactly pay attention to when they told me to be careful. And so, that usually ended up me breaking something or other. just trying to keep up with the siblings and stuff. I have had numerous surgeries. Of course, all both my femurs and tibias. I've had rodding, so I have rods in there. So multiple surgeries, especially growing up, replacing them and stuff. I have a rod going up my spine. So I had the spinal surgery. That was in, I believe, that was either in late elementary school or early middle school. And then I also have a rod in my right humerus, so the upper arm area. So I've quite a bit of hardware. I say that all that hardware is what affects my swimming abilities. So I say that it weighs me down quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I've as I've gotten older, I have broken a lot less, which is always nice.
Mm-hmm.
When I was little, I'd break a lot. It wasn't until probably middle school, and actually around the time that I started sports was actually when I started fracturing less. And it's probably a little bit because as you get into your teenage years, you break a little less, and then also I think sports have helped that too. I stayed pretty stable until I think 2007 was when I had another major break that caused there's a break right on the femur that caused after having surgery the surgeon accidentally caused a non-union fracture, so that has been dogging me for a while, but hoping to try and sort of get that. Yeah. I've had a bunch of surgeries on that, trying to clear that up, and I think it's mostly stable, which is good.
Good. Well, it clearly hasn't stopped you from keep going. You've continued to do your thing, so that's great.
Yeah.
And I want to bring up that point really quickly. You were saying that you started to be more physical middle school, and it is historically with OIers, we're breaking during our early years, and then kind of after puberty and those early teens we start to get a little bit stronger. And I think you're absolutely right that physical exercise and movement does play a part in that. So I think it's important for maybe parents that are watching this now, keep your OI kids moving, get them exercising, because that does help to prevent fractures by, just helping with the bone density, making the muscle stronger, making everything stronger kind of around it. So I think that is a good point. It's very important for people to know that. So the quick question, the rod that you have in your spine, is how long is that?
It goes from the bottom of my neck to my tailbone, so it goes all the way up and down.
And has that affected any of your physical activity, or has it made it easier?
I got it before I started sports, so I don't know the before and after for sports, but I do know I used to have a lot of back pain when I was little, and so that definitely helped stabilize that, and so I don't have as much back pain now, which is good.
Yeah. And so you talked about when you were younger and your parents. Can you talk a little bit about how your parents treated you? Because you said you were rambunctious, you kind of did your thing. Were they the kind of parents to let you do your thing, or were they kind of the parents to say, hey, take it easy? Because I know I had the be careful parents. So,
Sure.
How were your parents with you?
Well, I actually have an older brother that had OI. He or has OI. He has it a little more severe than me. So my parents were actually used to my brother sort of being very careful and not being super active. So when they got me, they were a little taken aback about how much I just wanted to do everything. So I think my parents tried to skate that line between being overprotective and being willing for me to try new things. I think I pushed them a lot on that and where that line was. And my parents will definitely tell you that I gave them a lot of gray hairs growing up. So I think I think it's I can definitely see how it would be tough for parents to let their kids do sort of like what they need to do in order to grow up. But as you grow up, you learn your boundaries and you learn sort of what you can and can't do. And while I still sort of push that envelope, I do keep in mind some where my boundaries are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, were your parents involved with any other parents of, that had kids that had OI, or were they kind of isolated and just going by what they know?
My parents, we used to, when I was really little, we used to live in Washington State, and we went to the Seattle Children's Hospital, which had a pretty significant following of kids with OI. So I think some of that helped them. They were able to get opinions and stuff from doctors who knew about OI. And then we also went to the OI conferences when I was little. So we knew about the OI community. They weren't totally alone in sort of figuring out how to raise a kid with OI. But at the same time, here's my cat.
Hey, what's the cat's name?
This is Keto.
Keto.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Keto.
This is Keto. I'm sure he'll show up.
Ladies and gentlemen, a cameo by Keto.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we gotta give him credit.
But anyway, yeah. So I think they had more knowledge than some parents.
Yeah.
That have kids with OI. So
yeah, I think definitely. I'm a little older than you, about 13 years, and I know from my parents, they didn't have anything. They didn't know anybody. This was pre-internet. This was pre-everything. I think even before the OIF happened. So just shows like generationally things are getting better. I mean, simply because of the internet, Facebook, everything that's happening now. So many parents can really find out what's going on and get more information, be more informed, and really learn a lot from people with OI. So I think it's really good what's happening now. So you've always been physical kind of throughout your life, which is a great thing. Even through the breaks, a lot of people that have OI haven't done that. They've been stopped because of the breaks, because of the fear of breaking. I personally have gone through that myself. Talk to me a little bit about just your mentality behind it all. How have you thought about physical activity kind of throughout your life, since you've always been physical and haven't really thought about, or I'm not going to say you haven't thought about it, but how have you dealt with maybe fears that have come up, or knowing that boundary, knowing your limits, but still maintaining an active lifestyle?
Sure. I don't know if I've really thought that much into it. I've always been super motivated. I've always been very competitive, which gets me into trouble sometimes. But I guess I grew up with 4 other siblings. Two which, they were able-bodied individuals that, ran around and goofed around. And I always just wanted to keep up with them and, be a part of what they were doing. So I don't know if it was really a thought process behind what I was doing. It was more of I want to be doing what they're doing. So, even when I broke something, I would, be like, okay, well, what can I do, even without that limb, like what else can I do? And there were definitely times where, I wasn't as active, as I am right now, just because, just trying to deal with, pain issues and breaks and stuff. But, for me, it's always just been, I'm super motivated to I don't know, do things on my own and be independent. And, if that means, ignoring some things that some people would say I should, pay attention to, then I've sort of gone, more towards being independent than being safe.
And really has OI played an important part in that? Like, as far as your thoughts around having OI, has it always been you do pay attention to it? Because a lot of people will say, a lot of people that remain active will say, well, I don't even really think about my OI. Mm-hmm. I personally, went through kind of all the stages where it was like a big deal, and then I totally denied it, and then I was like, okay, I gotta actually embrace what's going on. Sure. So, how has it been for you throughout life?
I feel like it's always in the back of my head, but yeah, I try not to let it define me, but it definitely has, colored the way that I see the world and the way that I interact with things. I think that I try to just get on with doing things as much as possible and understand that, there's some days that are better than others, where some days I just don't even feel like getting out of bed because, my body just feels totally out of whack. And then there's other times where I'm, I know I feel bad, but I've got to keep going. So I really try not to think about it too much. So, I understand, there's a point between, denying that you have a disability at all, and then there's a point of, embracing it, and then there's a point of letting it sort of stop you. And, it's always, it's hard to toe the line between that. And I think, some days I'm like, oh yeah, I'm, a proud OI, or I, go disability and stuff like that. And then there's other days, like I'm having a bad day and I'm like, God, this day just sucks and I hate OI and, like that kind of thing. And, I think saying that you, I don't know, I don't think it's possible to be on one end of the spectrum or the other every single day. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. It's not productive, number one.
No.
You know, it's not productive at all for people, and that's what I try and help people through is like telling them, look, it's, you know, you want to get something done, you want to be active, and you want to get going, and you know, it's not always going to be perfect. Like, there's
No.
not, you're not just going to move to the other side and now everything is green and
Yeah.
rainbows and puppy dogs. It's going to be like, you know, what you're talking about. It's, you know, going back and forth between those, having the good days, having the bad days, and
Sure.
so I think that's a great great outlook that you have on it. Talk to me about the most recent stuff that's been going on. Well, first talk to me about some of the activities that you've done, because like prior to getting into CrossFit, because I'm going to talk about the CrossFit, but prior to CrossFit, what types of things were you doing?
So my first activity in sports, it's been an interesting sort of way that I've grown out into athletics. I have a brother, a younger brother who has who had polio, so he's also in a wheelchair. And then, like I said, I have an older brother who has OI. And my, you know, like growing up in the beginning, like I had no idea about adaptive athletics or anything like that. I knew, you know, like the PT would take me out of class and have me do these exercises that I thought were so stupid, and like I hated them, absolutely hated them. That and I think the OTs and PTs, I was just like, gosh, what am I doing? Like, you know, you're taking me away from all the friends and stuff like that, just so that I can sit here and do things that I feel like aren't helping me. So, you know, like I had no notion for what adaptive athletics were, other than like these exercises that felt pointless to me. It wasn't until 1996, and I remember it really, really just so clearly, that I had an uncle who, he played on the Paralympic U.S. soccer team. And he invited my family to come down to watch the Paralympics. And like, I was like, what are the Paralympics? I have no idea what this is. And so we drove down and went to the opening ceremony, and it was just like a light bulb just like turned on, and I was just like amazed to see all these different individuals who were either missing limbs or couldn't see or were in wheelchairs, and these individuals who, you know, exuded pride and physical perfection, but were imperfect as well, you know, like they had disabilities. And so, you know, sitting there and being in a crowd of individuals with disabilities, not being stared at, not being, just feeling like I was a part of something, was just so eye-opening for me. And it really got me to thinking about, like, what are the possibilities for me in terms of physicality. I know, like, I break a lot, but there's got to be something that I can do, you know? So my brother actually got into wheelchair basketball soon after the 1996 Atlanta Paralympics, and my mom knew that I wanted to compete. I was just a really competitive person, and she knew that, you know, like I felt left out because I wasn't playing wheelchair basketball. So my brother's coach told her about track, wheelchair track, and so my mom was like, okay, that's not too, like, you know, combative, like you're not like slamming into each other or anything. So she was like, yeah, I'll give you a go. You can go try it. She really, I don't think she really realized what she was getting me into. So I started doing track pretty much a year after the Paralympics. Got into it went to, got classified and then went to junior nationals that year. That really started setting up my athletic career and sort of my goals for athletics in general. So I did track for, all through middle school, all through high school. Got a scholarship to go to the University of Illinois. Was super, super happy about that because it was known as, one of the top schools for wheelchair track and academics. So it had both things. They had sent, huge superstars into the Paralympics. Jean Driscoll, who won the Boston Marathon like a crazy 7 or 8 times, I don't know. And then Scott Hollenbeck and Adam Bleakney, and just like all these people they sent up to the Paralympics. So I really wanted to go in there. There's a legendary coach named Marty Morris that I wanted to train under. So I went there, trained for 4 years up there. Actually got my B standard times for the Paralympics. That was after I got pneumonia and after getting into a car wreck. Broke my tibia in the car wreck.
Wow.
Did really pretty well considering.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, didn't get onto the squad for Beijing. So I was like, okay, I've got 4 more years. So started training up for the next one for London. Unfortunately, that was when I got my non-union fracture. Was a year before trying to make it onto the London Paralympic team. So that really sort of put a kibosh on my track career, at least for the time being. So as I was dealing with my non-union fracture, I got basically I was dealing with that for 8 years, I believe. And yeah.
Man.
The original time they messed up the surgery, so I had to get a second surgery within a week of that original surgery. That surgery didn't fix it, so I had a surgery the next year, and pretty much every year after I had a surgery. They were just trying to put everything they could think of into that to try and fix it. So during that time, I was like, well, I can't put a ton of weight on that leg, so I can't get into my racing chair. So what can I do? I got into wheelchair fencing. So that didn't put as much pressure on my leg. Got to train with the U.S. team. Went up to, got onto the U.S. team, competed internationally, and got to go to the World Championships in wheelchair fencing. But then sort of, funding issues and just, overall, I wasn't happy with where I was. I didn't feel like I was doing as much physicality as I would like to. So once I had my last surgery about a year and a half ago, went to Duke Hospital, got a surgery. It stabilized pretty well, my non-union fracture. Kept on getting x-rays. The doctor was like, it looks like it's healing. So I was like, great, what can I do now? And that's sort of when I was like, I miss being super physically active. I miss being super fit. So what can I do? Then I saw on YouTube these individuals doing CrossFit, and I was like, that sort of looks like what I was doing in college. We would do circuit training.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, that looks like something that, maybe I would have fun with. It looked physically challenging. It looked mentally challenging, and I really enjoy doing things that look challenging.
Yeah.
So I contacted a couple of CrossFit boxes near my area. Found one that was open to working with me. Went to their it was sort of like a boot camp type thing where you sort of get introduced to it. Could do all the movements. So decided that I would just go full out and try it. So I've been doing it for about a year. And that's sort of, like I'm hoping to get back into my track chair, that kind of thing. Just trying to stay active and trying to stay motivated.
That is so great. That is so great. What a great story. I love that you've been just doing it. I haven't really paid attention to the Paralympics like myself. I played wheelchair ball when I was coming out of college, high school, and then coming into college. But then once I started walking and started my phase of denial, I really wasn't doing anything physically. So it's just so great that you've been involved. I'm like thinking about it, I'm like, man, I wish I would have been paying attention, because I'm sure I could have done something, or maybe have been inspired to, do more than I did. So that's so great that you were able to just stay in it and just progress and do what you've done. I commend you for that. It's so awesome.
Thanks.
Now, the CrossFit thing, let's talk about this for a second. Because I have a thing with CrossFit. Me personally, just because like through my transformation, what I've learned as far as working out and stuff, and I'm certified as a personal trainer as well. And when I see CrossFit, I understand now that it is really a specific athletic thing to do. It's you are a CrossFit athlete. Like it's to me it's dangerous. It's I think people get hurt too often in it, and so like when I saw you doing it, I'm like, oh my god, like what, you are insane. That even prompted me more to want to get a hold of you, because just the fact that you were doing what you were doing, I saw your videos, and then what I feel about CrossFit, I'm like, okay, we gotta have a talk about this. But so like I've seen how you've adapted the moves and modified moves as necessary. I tell people all that all the time, that people that I train that have OI or have another disability, limited mobility, all those different things, all the moves have to be modified. And so it's great to see that you have modified it to suit your needs. Is there talk me through that process, like when you first went in and these guys are throwing stuff around and getting crazy, and you're dodging weights being thrown around. I don't know, that's what I think of CrossFit. But so like walk me through, how was that for you when you're like just starting to do the moves, and how did you work through modifying them for you?
Sure. Like I said, when I was in college, we would do circuit training. So like I got my foundations through that. We did weight training at least twice a week. And so I learned how to do certain movements and learned how to adapt those movements. And then when I got out of college, I was still doing a lot of that in regular gyms, just trying to figure out how to modify certain movements so that I could use certain equipment, because they're not always wheelchair friendly.
Right.
So I think my foundations really came from learning what to do in the gym during college. When I got into the gym or the box, the CrossFit box, I'd watch what people were doing and then sort of try and figure out what they were doing above the waist. So just really trying to focus on those movements in the beginning. So I knew I could lift weights, upper body, using my upper body. I'm used to doing that type of thing. As for modifying other things, it's really been a trial and error for me. So I'll try a movement on my own, and then sometimes I'll film it, or just really try and mentally visualize what I'm doing. And then as I get used to it, I'll add it into my repertoire of adaptations. So they'll give you sort of a workout to go by, and then I will say, okay, I know what I'm going to do for this movement, and this movement. So I just switch it up. And then, as time has gone by, I've been able to sort of set up my own sort of routine, just so that I can make sure that I am not just doing the same movement over and over again, because since I'm using mostly the upper body, it can get really repetitive. So a lot of it is trial and error and just trying to figure out that kind of thing. Some of it has been looking at YouTube, and there's a thing called Wheel Wad that I've been following as well. And I get some ideas from that for things like trying to figure out what you would do for a box jump, that kind of thing. So, some of it is just getting inspired by other athletes, and then some of it is just, trial and error and figuring out what works for you.
So that was part 1 of my interview with Mia. Make sure you come back and watch the next podcast, because I will be having part 2 of my interview with Mia in that podcast. All right, so that does it for this episode of the DMD Fit for Life podcast. Thank you so much for joining me and for watching and for listening. Please share the podcast. I really do appreciate your support in everything that I'm doing with DMD. So please share the podcast. Make sure you get over to my website and sign up for my email list. Lots of cool stuff going on my blog and exclusive content that I send out to my email list. So go and sign up for that at disablemydisability.com. Connect with me on social media on both Facebook and Instagram. My handle is @IamTonyJacobson. Lots of cool things going on, and again, thank you for sharing this and sharing all of the information that I have coming out. I really do appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.